Welcome to the collection of the wildest and craziest AITA Reddit stories of all time. From wild betrayals to shocking twists, these tales will leave you questioning who is really in the wrong. Let's dive in together. The first story for this collection is Novice Iris. AITA for telling my sister her baby's name sounds ridiculous, and she should change it? My 29F sister Claire, 34F, is pregnant with her first child, and I'm genuinely happy for her. She's had a rough couple of years, so it's nice to see her so excited about something. That said, she's taken the excitement to a weird level. She's decided to name her baby something unique, and I think it's borderline cruel. The name she's chosen for her future daughter? Malaya Serafin. Yes, spelled exactly like that. Claire insists it's pronounced Malaya Serafin, but she's adamant about keeping the creative spelling because normal names are boring, and my daughter deserves to stand out. When she told me, I was caught off guard and just blurted out, "Are you serious?" She looked hurt and asked why I didn't like it, so I, probably too bluntly, said, "Because it sounds like a Wi-Fi password." Claire immediately got defensive, saying I was being judgmental and unsupportive, and that no one else had a problem with it. Side note, I later found out our dad laughed out loud when he heard it, but tried to cover it up. I tried to tread carefully, but I told her I thought the spelling was going to make her daughter's life harder than it needed to be. Teachers, doctors, employers, everyone will constantly be mispronouncing it or spelling it wrong. Claire shot back that it's her child, and I don't get a say. And I need to get with the times, because kids today have unique names, and no one cares anymore. Here's where things got worse. At a family dinner, Claire brought up the name again, and I made the mistake of saying, "You know, you're naming a person, not a fairy in a fantasy novel." She stormed out, and now she's refusing to speak to me, unless I apologize for mocking her creativity. My dad is staying out of it, but my stepmom thinks I was wrong to criticize the name, and should just let Claire do what she wants. I love my sister, but I can't shake the feeling that she's prioritizing her ego over her baby's future. Am I the for being honest, or should I have kept my opinion to myself? OP is a little bit H for being too blunt and mocking. While Claire's name choice is questionable, OP could have voiced concerns more tactfully instead of ridiculing her sister. So, as for scores, I would rate OP 2.5 out of 5 on the AH scale, and Claire gets a 0. Let's now jump onto the next story from complete-might-5559. AITA for wanting to stay up late on my last free of responsibility holiday. I, 18F, have recently graduated high school. Australia school ends Octnov for grads. And turned 18. I don't plan to take a year break. I plan to get into work straight away 2025 while I try to get an apprenticeship for my dream job. A lot more background context, as I believe I need to give a lot to not seem like a massive in general, is I'm severely disabled and have had a very rocky relationship with my parents for years. My 40F mum believes I use my disabilities as an excuse for everything. Won't say much here as it just be a trauma dump, but I'm seen as the failure of the family to the point where she accidentally even admitted a year ago she didn't love me. I know my disabilities cause a lot of my pathways to be cut off, but I still want to do pathways and try hard, pushing my own boundaries to show I can act not disabled. When my mum says I use my disability to not do things, it's for stupid things like not wanting to go to an overcrowded event where I have to stand for long periods. Leg issues plus autism plus other issues. But it's never for jobs and responsibilities. She is the one that uses my disabilities as an excuse. Oh, I want to work in childcare? But I'm too disabled according to my mum. I want to do tattoo work? Too disabled. I want to do anything work related. I'm too disabled. She discourages me from everything, telling me to avoid getting jobs I believe I can do, but also, if I don't get a job, I risk being kicked out. She only stopped with the childcare thing as I got work placement through school with kids and proved her wrong. I plan to get a job. In January-start of February, the reason I'm not doing it now is because I am recovering from a surgery, one of which is in my feet so I can't stand for more than 10 minutes without severe pains and can't wear enclosed shoes. I decided I will wait for surgery recovery and wait to get my tattoo, birthday gift from Dad, so I have no open wounds -injuries as I start. Because I want to start professionally and in a way that is good for my resume, I've had volunteering work placement jobs before, so I know how to be professional from experience. I don't want my first out-of-school job to go wrong from being dumb. Simple. And my mum knows this, as I've told her. So, I, taking this into consideration, wanted to have my last bit of childhood, really. Last bit of not having proper responsibilities to myself. So I stay up late gaming with my friends, not loudly, as my mum only realizes I'm awake when she gets up to pee or deal with the cats. We stay up, play dumb games, read subreddits, watch movies. It gets to sometimes 2 a.m. Usually it's maxed at 1 a.m. My mum is threatening to shut off my internet at 12 a.m. every night now, which usually means sooner. They've done 10 p.m. before repeatedly, talking about me being irresponsible, mocking me at dinner-lunch for my sleep patterns and the way I am. Not doing it over money concerns with bills, but over being disappointed in me for acting this way. I get that staying up late isn't good for sleep schedules, but a disability, won't go into, I have makes me severely tired, have fatigue, it has my entire life, so I understand when I should go to bed if I have work. As yet again I've had work placement. I know how my body works and reacts to different sleeping times-patterns. I know that if I go to bed at a certain time, I'll wake up a certain time and have to nap at a certain time. I know the specific times I need to do to get a good sleep schedule for working. I'm not dumb about my own body. I don't plan to do this every night until I work. I plan to stop once it gets around time to work. I can reset my sleep schedule incredibly fast. I know that as I know me. But my mum treats me as if I don't. She treats me as if I'm ruining my chances at ever being good at working. Even making it clear she believes it will mess me up for working through saying so. I think I'd be more understanding if it was about the bills, but I'm an adult who just wants to spend the last bit of my free time on my last ever school holidays, doing what I want as late as I want, because it's the last time I can do that really. If it was about bills, I'd be willing to give some of my birthday money to contribute, so I'm not a disturbance for using internet this late. I've talked to a friend about it, and they agree the threats to turn off internet are out there, but we are both neurodivergent, don't get social cues. So, I need a second opinion. I just don't get why I'm not allowed a few weeks of freedom. I'm not waking people up. I tend to whisper to not wake everyone up. They only realize I'm awake when they wake themselves up. It's not like I'm going to do this for months. It's 2 months max before I get to bed at a proper time and go to work. AITA? Slight out of point note. I'm not going into most of my disability due to the nature of a lot of my disabilities. If I were to tell them, some people would know who I was. OP is not the AH. She is an adult responsibly planning for work and just want a short period of freedom before responsibilities begin. Her mom's control seems more about power than genuine concern, especially given her history of discouragement. So, OP's mom is an AH, and I would rate her 3.5 out of 5 on the AH scale, and OP gets a 0. Let's now move on to the next story from Celebration Cool 7393. AITA for telling my friend she can't do my sister's hair because of what my sister has done to me. I live with my cousin. We have called each other sisters basically our entire lives, and I will call her my sister for this story. So basically my mum took kinship care over her, about 10 years ago now, taking her out of foster care. I have done so much for her over these years, including letting her live with me when I moved out of our house for a bit, because she didn't want to live there anymore either. Anyway, last year I made a new friend. We got extremely close, and because my sister lived with me too, they got to know each other as well, and over the months they slowly started to get closer. My sister had a boyfriend, now her ex, and it was very toxic. When they broke up, my sister and friend started hanging out a lot more. One day he was threatening to come over and talk to her face to face. He was high on drugs, and I was about to leave for work. Knowing my friend wasn't working that day, I rang her and asked if she could come over and just stay with my sister, just in case he rocked up as she was alone in the house. She went over and they spent the day together. Ever since that day, they had started pushing me to the side. When I questioned this, the friend said it was because my sister was going through stuff with her ex and needed someone to talk to. At the time, I understood and thanked friend for being there for her. Then a week or so later, it is mine and my sister's birthdays. We are a day apart, with hers being first. The friend made a big deal out of her birthday that morning with a post on Instagram with multiple photos of them, which was fine of course. We all went out for dinner that night for a joint birthday dinner. Myself, sister, friend, friend's boyfriend, and my mum. And I could tell the vibe was off with the friend. She was just cold to me and not engaging or initiating conversation at all. That weekend, we all went away as we had booked to stay somewhere for our birthdays. I messaged the friend the morning of saying I did not want her to come if she was going to be weird with me and be there for my sister more than me. Keep in mind, my sister is 16 and this friend is 25. She said of course she is there for me more than her, as we were meant to be best friends, and my sister was just the tag along. The weekend happens, and we are all hanging out together, and everything seems fine. Forward a week later from then, I messaged the friend asking if she wanted to go to a waterfall for the day, and she replied with, she had plans with her boyfriend. Okay, that's fine. But then I see my sister getting ready. As she's about to walk out the door, I ask her where she is going. She says out with her friends from school. I had friend's location at the time, and seen she was out the front of my house. She was picking my sister up and lied to me about it. This is when I absolutely lose my shit. All the lies and betrayal finally weighed on me, and I call my mum spiraling. For some stupid reason, she calls the friend and tells her what's happening and asks her to come and check on me. I had locked all of the doors so none of them could get in, but of course my sister was there, and she had a house key. My sister waits in the car, and friend and her boyfriend come into my room. I am naked having a shower, bawling my eyes out, with music blasting, trying to calm myself down, and in they walk. The boyfriend stands at the bathroom door, with his back turned so he can't see, like a security guard standing out the front of a nightclub, because my mum told her to be careful going in, as I was going crazy, and was in the state of mind to punch in the face, especially her. She tried to reason with me, saying they were just going for a drive, then they were going to drop my sister back off, and then go and do their plans for the day. I screamed at her and told them to get the out of my house. I felt more betrayed by my sister than I did her for lying to me about where she was going and who it was with, because that is my family, and I would never do that to her behind her back with her own friends. This would be like me hanging out with one of my sister's 16-year-old friend at my age of 23 and not telling her about it. So, my sister and her ex started talking again, and she told him I had chased her around the house with a knife when this happened. She did not even get out of the car. That is not a little white lie. That is something major to lie about, and could have gotten me in trouble. Fast forward to this day, my sister and I do not speak, and we still live in the same house. And yes, the friend and my sister are still friends. They hang out constantly and walk around on the phone 24/7, and my sister puts her on loudspeaker, hoping I hear that they are talking, like it's a brag. My mom is completely on my side, and so is our whole family and everyone I tell this story to. I have had to put a camera in my room as she kept on coming in and stealing my things. A couple of weeks ago, an actual friend of mine broke up with her boyfriend, and we decided that it would be good if she moved in with me into the spare bedroom. Now I have noticed my sister trying to get close with her too. She tries to have conversations with her when me and my friend are sitting together, and the other day asked her to do her hair. Actual friend was a hairdresser. Before this friend moved in, she knew the situation with my sister and was on my side. I told her that if she wanted to live here, she needed to accept my boundaries, and one of those was not being close with my sister. Civil is fine. Yes, this may seem harsh, but given what I just went through with her and losing a close friend because of it, meant I was putting in firm boundaries. Of course, I want her to be comfortable and small talk with her is okay. I just don't want them hanging out or doing anything friendly. Basically, just be roommates. The other day, my sister asked again if she would do her hair for her, and my friend agreed and said only if she pays her. I did not know about this until hearing her talk about it with my mom. I of course got upset, because this was one of the things I had asked her not to do. It will make me feel extremely uncomfortable, considering my sister hasn't even apologized to me for what she has done, and we aren't talking. I do not want my friend being manipulated by her too, and risk going through that whole situation again. I told my friend I don't want her doing my sister's hair, and if she really cared about the money so much, I would send her what she would have paid to get it done. Am I being petty in this situation? Should I just let it go? It's hard because I know in my sister's narcissistic mind, she will think she is one-upping me again and creeping her way into another one of my friendships. I don't know what to do. To add, me, my mum, sister, and now my friend all rent a house together. I don't live alone anymore, just with my sister. So, I can't necessarily kick her out, as my mum won't allow that. She is now 17. Edit. For anyone saying this is fictional, it is not. I am diagnosed with autism as well as ADHD, dyslexia, and the list goes on. So, I'm sorry if the story is a bit all over the place and written bad. I tried my best. OP is not the AH for enforcing boundaries after her sister's extreme betrayal and lies. Given past experiences, her concerns about losing another friend are valid. Her request isn't unreasonable. She just wants respect and distance from a toxic sibling, which is her very right. As for scores, I would rate OP's sister 2.5 out of 5 on the AH scale, and OP gets a 0. Let's now jump on to the next story from Mother of Sheefords. AITA for cutting my ex out of our dogs' lives. I, 34F, was dating my ex, 37M, for 13 years. I own my own house, which we lived together in with our 3 dogs aged 4, 8, and 11 years old for 8 years. I purchased them all myself, signed the adoption-purchase papers alone, took them to all of their obedience and sports classes, worked through potty training and behavioral issues alone, brought them to the vet alone, cared for them when they were ill, kept track of and gave them their required meds alone, groomed and bathed them, cleaned all their poop from the backyard, fed them, and was overall the main caretaker. My ex worked out of town on dash-off for the last 8 years for variable times, usually a week or 2 at a time, but sometimes for up to 2-month stints. There were some years he was barely home. I've never minded being the sole caretaker, as that means I could accomplish training goals easier, and we got used to my ex not being around a lot or relying on him. He would play dash walk dash, interact with them when he was home, but was never involved in their training dash activities, dash general care. He calls them his babies, and it's obvious that he loves them very much, and they love him too. However, they are just fine with his absence as well. My ex would help fund their food dash vet bills and would contribute financially to my house as well. I charged him $600 in rent. I paid full utilities and taxes. Mortgage is $1,200 per month, and he would do fixes around the house when time allowed. Him, his brothers, and I finished my roughed-in basement and bathroom with his expertise. He got a lot of free supplies at work and had a lot of tools already from his work to use, but did have to buy specific tools for the bathroom job and bought a lot of the supplies for the bathroom. I did contribute as well, but not as heavily. As part of our agreement for the bathroom, his dad was allowed to live with us for free for as long as he wanted during a rough patch in his marriage, though he only ended up staying a month. We have been broken up for 9 months and have been sharing the dogs. He lives with his parents now, works out of town a lot still, and will come take the dogs for a walk a few times a month, or take a dog for the weekend. His parents are not dog people, and do not like having the dogs around, so having him keep even one dog at his house doesn't work. He still calls them his dogs though. When he left initially, he put a TV dinner tray through my wall because he was mad that I apologized for wasting his time. When I changed the locks on the door after he moved out, he blew up on me and came over to yell at me about how stupid it was that he didn't have access to my house anymore, as it meant much less access to the dogs for him. He also told me he should go destroy my bathroom, that he just renovated and played the victim, until I felt bad enough that I agreed to terms I was not comfortable with just to get out of the situation. Throughout our relationship, he had an explosive anger problem that was random and did result in holes in the wall several times. He refused to admit it was an issue. Each argument we had, he would bring back every mistake I had made, to the point where I still cry, scream at myself when I take a wrong turn in a car, or get anxiety when I'm wrong, as it might get thrown in my face for the next 13 years. He was constantly putting me down for my actions, thoughts, looks, and strung me along for a long time about wanting kids. He never supported me through our infertility journey or my miscarriage. He never put his hands on me, but his abusive behavior and history of explosive anger make me worried that if I take the dogs away, he will get violent, either physically or verbally. I did offer to give him one of my dogs when he has a more stationary job. Dash has his own place and have a clean split, but he was adamant that he wanted to stay in all the dogs' lives. He is a horrible partner, but he loves the dogs very much and would likely take good care of them. I have since changed my mind, however, and want to keep all of my dogs that I have carefully raised. I can't imagine being tied to this man anymore. I don't want to co-own co-parent dogs with him for the next 7+ years. I want to be free to start a new relationship family without him looming in the background. I don't enjoy having to see talk to him. It brings up bad memories and pain. I don't know if cutting him out completely is the right thing to do though, and I feel really guilty about it. He helped me out financially with them for years. He helped take care of them, he loves and cares for them, and was there for most of their lives. He also helped me out financially by finishing my basement bathroom, which I am incredibly grateful for. He saved me several thousand than if I had to do it myself, and I learned a lot about home renovations from him. AITA. If I didn't let him see the dogs anymore? If I do cut him out, how do I do it so it causes him the least amount of pain and keeps me safe? He lives very close to me now, and while he doesn't have a history of violence, his anger issues mean that retaliation-violence isn't out of the question. I would love to take the dogs and run, but financial situations and the housing market means that I'm stuck where I'm at, 5 minutes from where he currently lives. OP is not an AH for prioritizing her mental health and moving on from an abusive relationship. The dogs are her responsibility, and she should be able to set boundaries without feeling guilty for protecting herself. So, OP is not an AH, and I would rate her 0 out of 5 on the AH scale. As for OP's ex-boyfriend, I would rate him 2.5 out of 5 on the AH scale. Let's now move on to the next story from Jailamara44. AITA for not acting as if nothing had happened after my friend reported me to the police? I'm in my last year of college, literally 2 weeks away from graduating, and I'll probably never see him again, so I want to know if it's worth forgiving and forgetting. For some context, I had a best friend, Philip, who I've been friends with since elementary school. We went to the same college to be together, and because we were both afraid of being alone, we're both kind of shy and misfits. Philip managed to make friends, while I couldn't break out of my shell, so honestly, I've been holding on to him a lot throughout college. I have a disease that makes my joints hurt a lot to the point where I feel like I'm going to pass out. I take pain medication to control the pain, but it usually takes a few minutes to take effect. A month ago, we were leaving to class when the pain started. I took the medicine, but all I wanted to do was go home, take a cold shower, and try to sleep. The pain was getting more intense. Philip wanted to keep talking, and I wasn't listening. We have this game where we push each other playfully, or we tickle each other while we pull each other when we're not paying attention, and he started doing it. I told him to stop several times because I felt like my bones were breaking. I felt like my hip was about to explode, and as if instead of blood, I had needles in my bones. He kept pushing me, and finally, I got tired, and I pushed him. I didn't think much and ran home, which luckily is close to the university. I took a shower and went to bed, waiting for the medicine to take effect. Then I fell asleep. When I woke up, I noticed a lot of messages and missed calls. I always have my phone on Do Not Disturb. I was confused because several messages were from Philip's friends insulting me. It turns out that when I pushed him, I made him lose his balance, and since we were on the second floor, he fell down the stairs and broke his nose. I tried to communicate and apologize, but he had blocked me. The next day, I was summoned to the dean's office of my degree, and Philip's mother was there with the police to file a complaint against me for assault. I admit that I was scared and felt like my life was over. When I returned home, I told my mother about the situation, and she accompanied me to the university. She asked to see the security camera images, where Philip was seen jokingly pushing me and shaking me several times, and that I asked him to move away or tried to leave. The police took it as an accident, and in the end the process came to nothing. Philip's mother kept insisting that I should at least pay the hospital bills since the injury was serious. I did it only because I wanted to have a clear conscience. I thought that would be all, but Philip finally came back to class a week ago to turn in the necessary documents for graduation and talk to me. Apparently, he never wanted to report me, but since his nose was broken, the university staff called a relative to go look for him. That relative was his mother, and she found out what happened. She made a scandal at the university, which made more people find out what happened. She was the one who blocked me from Philip's phone and proceeded with the complaint. And since he was in the hospital, he didn't find out until it was too late. He has asked me to just forget about him. We have been friends for almost 14 years, and I know that my life without him will be difficult. He's almost the only friend I have in the world, but I feel strange. It's almost as if he were another person with the same face and voice of the friend I love. He has tried to return my money, but nothing feels the same. Several of Philip's friends have contacted me to apologize for insulting me and asked me to accept it since it was all an accident. But every time I think about it, I feel like crying. I know what happened was an accident, and Philip is the main victim, but this is not the first time he has done something to hurt me. I know I shouldn't feel this way, but this feels like one more betrayal. Only this one is not one I can forgive. AITA? OP is not an AH. While the situation was an accident, Philip's actions and the subsequent betrayal by his mother left OP feeling hurt and betrayed. It's understandable that OP may struggle to forgive, especially after the police involvement. As for Philip, he is an AH, and I would rate him 3.5 out of 5 on the AH scale, and OP gets nothing. Let's now move on to the next story from Guest TPR 1C3. AITA for lying to my mother about every aspect of my life? My mum, 46F, and I, 17 Trans M, have been living alone, the two of us, for some time now since Dad left home. All good with him. Nothing to say. I get along with him, and I don't blame him for doing that. But sticking to the point, my mother and I have been living together for a few years. When I was little, we got along pretty well, except for the hurtful comments a Latina mother makes to her, then daughter, and my submissive attitude towards her. But in spite of that, I loved her. I still love her. She is my mom, after all. But it all starts when I'm about 11, 12? I'm not really sure, but it's in that awkward time where you are forging your own thoughts, and you are a fool in everything. This happened in the middle of the pandemic, with all my changes of tastes, and so I started to close myself more, want my space, and so, as any pre-puberty would want. But I started to keep secrets, many more secrets, and especially to escape from my mother when she wanted to check my phone. She did this since he bought me my first phone. We always had problems with that, but until then, nothing serious. But since then, I had started experimenting with my and gender. Nothing weird. I just had this weird feeling of, oh, I think I like being treated like a boy. And well, my mom had always shown the typical, I support him until he's my son. So I started to shut down more and more, and my mom noticed it. She hated it, and usually yelled at me for closing my door, or hiding my phone, or getting extremely nervous when I checked my computer. But here's a little detail. I was always very submissive. I never yelled at my mother or anything. I saw many times how she yelled and cried when I revealed myself, and, until now, I never revealed myself to her. And well, the whole pandemic was horrible. I just wanted to tell her that I had never revealed myself to her. The whole pandemic was horrible. I never thought, nor do I really think, of telling my mother about my trans identity or anything like that. So naturally, we started to drift apart, and she, well, tried to force it. I still remember how she would scream and cry in front of me, frantic as she screamed at me, I don't even know you, God. You are like your father, a stranger. Words from a fight we had when I was about 12 years old. I think it was because I hadn't told her about wanting to dye my hair. So in all these years, we have been very far apart since, well, I lie to her about everything. Yes, I lie to her about everything. From what they call me at school, to what movies I like, or how I want to dress. I don't like to tell her the truth. It terrifies me. It terrifies me because of all the things she has said. From a simple comment she feels unimportant to a hurtful phrase she said years ago. I don't feel like she does anything wrong. I know deep down she cares about me, but I really can't help lying to her, and I don't even do anything wrong. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't go to parties. She won't let me leave the house. I don't even know half the city I grew up in. I get good grades. I'm quiet. And I don't do it because I don't want to. Believe me, sometimes I would love to know what a party is like, how it feels to smoke a blunt, or how vodka burns my throat just to relax a little, but I do it because I'm afraid. I'm afraid she will find out and hate me. That's why I lie to her. She doesn't know any aspect of my personal life. It's all lies. She thinks I'm a shy, straight woman. I don't like lying to her, but it's necessary. I don't want her to criticize every thought or taste I have. And can you imagine if she found out how they call me and treat me at school? She would kill me. She would kick me out of the house. Sometimes I wish that would happen. That way I feel I would have a taste of freedom, and at least I wouldn't be in her way anymore. But I feel bad, son. Daughter, for her, but I don't want us to hate each other. But I have never imagined my adult life with her. So, tell me, do you think I'm a bad son? Or is it because of my age? Should I start being more honest? Or is our relationship already lost? I don't want her to hate me. Sometimes I wish I had my old mama back. OP is not an AH. The fear of rejection and the trauma from his mother's hurtful comments led to lying as a coping mechanism. OP is trying to protect himself, and the situation is rooted in fear, not malice. As for scores, I would rate OP 0 out of 5 on the AH scale, and OP's mom 1.5 out of 5. What do the Mac Reddit fans think? Is the OP an AH or not? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like the stories I brought you, just hit the like button, share them as much as you can, and don't forget to subscribe to Mac Reddit for a daily dose. Bye bye. See you tomorrow with some more spicy fries.